Hello everyone, this is Mini Ninja speaking, or as we're actually doing pixel art this time around, perhaps I should say Mr. A. As you can probably have guessed by the news, both good and bad, recently Street Fighter V did hit the market for both the PlayStation 4 as well as PC engine as well, via Steam of course, and along with a handful of new characters, we did get a few surprises in terms of old characters that did come back, such as Charlie or Nash, whichever name you prefer, who looks a little worse for wear this time around. On top of the new look, though, he did actually get quite a bit of new moves, both in his standard kind of basic movements as well as new specials as a whole, which don't actually exist in his original Street Fighter Alpha slash Zero getup. So, as kind of a small favor to someone I know, I've actually decided to take a little bit of time and I'm working on a handful of those new animations, kind of working with. In this case, I'll be, for this particular video set, I'll be working on one of his new specials at least, and kind of working my way out from there. Alright, just to mention something ahead of time, also I opened an extra file which I'm going to use for a little reference later for something. The reason you see Charlie with all these funky colors is because this is actually not working off of a base set of sprites like the CPS2 sprites, which are, just for the record, in case I haven't mentioned this before, generally most CPS2 sprites are actually 16 colors, which are 15 colors for the actual main art, plus one extra color that's used for transparency. But this particular set is actually based off someone else's edited work, I believe Zero the Artemis off the top of my head, who actually went through the trouble of separating a bunch of the different components of Charlie's sprites, so you will actually be able to kind of mimic his other appearances for the most part. So just to give you an idea of what I mean, the red parts on his hands here are actually made so that depending on the way the color palette is set up, you can either have them with no gloves or fingerless gloves, or in the case of the purple here, full fingered gloves, I imagine. The vest can be separated. It's from basically anything from the shoulder down, so you can have either his classic Street Fighter Alpha look or his Street Fighter V look. The arm separation and facial separation is also because of Street Fighter V sensibilities kind of tossed in there. Same thing with the boots and the socks and everything there. And I should have actually mentioned the darkened chest here and the gloves are actually a reference to his Cannon Spike appearance, where he did indeed have fingerless gloves as well as wore a fairly skin-tight black shirt. Alright, for our step 0 for this whole process, as I don't actually have a copy of Street Fighter V myself, what I had to do is actually go onto YouTube until I was able to find a video that covers a lot of Nash's new basics for the most part, as well as his specials and critical art. I actually downloaded a copy of that video, opened up a copy of VLC, and began going frame by frame throughout the animations I wanted to work on in order to kind of find what I consider to be key frames for the animation as a whole. Generally speaking, what I've kind of picked up here, and I'm showing you screenshots of, would be if it was a more fluid character, a lot of these frames would be in use. But in Nash's case, I'm not sure if they just skipped the budget on him in the original Street Fighter Alpha releases, but he really doesn't use a lot of frames as a whole. So I'm actually going to be using a lot of this stuff mostly as kind of general reference and kind of combing down the frame count so it won't stand out too terribly compared to what Nash normally has. Alright, for the last bit for this part 0 of the whole process here, I took all the images related to at least the low kick version of Sonic Scythe and imported them into graphic scale here. And as I'm actually just going to be using the image for reference more than anything else, I won't be drawing over them for reasons I explained a little earlier in the video. I scaled the whole thing down to 50% and basically just cropped around all the frames I'm going to be needing. Now for the next video in the little set here, that's when we're actually going to begin the real animation process as a whole, where I'll also by that point also have kind of trimmed down the frame count. Right now I have 17 frames here. Off camera I did delete one frame there since I originally had 18 frames for this animation, and that is honestly for a CPS2 thing, especially Charlie here, much too much for a frame count here. So I'm going to trim that down a little more so it doesn't stand out too terribly compared to the rest of the set. And once I have the final count there, that's when we kind of start the animation process from here, which as you can see is the new light jab here, and basically work from the frame 0 here, which is kind of based off the stand frame, and start fleshing out the rest of the animation from there. But that's going to be in the next video. Thanks you all for watching. Catch you all in the next part.